Welcome everybody to our behind the scenes look at what goes on in our Sunday services at ABC. Thank you so much for joining us, either live as we're doing this on Zoom from the main hall here on Wednesday evening, or if you're catching up a little bit later on watching the recording, then it's great to have you with us too. We're going to do a rapid tour, no more than an hour this evening, of looking at what goes into making our Sunday services happen. I want to say, if you're already involved in any way, shape or form, or have been in the past with making our Sunday services happen, then we are so grateful to you for all that you do and for your serving to make that happen. And of course, Sundays aren't the only place to serve around Andover Baptist Church, and we've got loads and loads of people serving in lots of other ways beyond a Sunday, but that is what we're focusing on this evening, because as you may have heard, we're hoping and indeed needing, I think now, to move back to having 2 Sunday morning services, and we want to expand to do that again. And in order to do that, we need to expand our teams of people who help us do our Sunday services. So this is a really important thing. If you're new to us at ABC and you're not yet part of a team, then thank you so much for coming and finding out a little bit about it tonight. There's no pressure. We're not trying to put pressure on anybody, but we do want to introduce you to what goes into making everything happen. And I'm going to pray and commit our evening to God, and then I'm going to launch in to kind of a little bit of a high-level view about why we do what we do and the way in which our Sunday services happen. So let's pray, and then I will launch into that. Lord God, thank you for the opportunity to be together this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to think and reflect on all that goes in to making our Sunday services happen. We recognise that church life is about way more than what happens for an hour or an hour and a half on a Sunday. But we do thank you that we have that immense privilege of being able to join together both on site and online in our corporate worship, to learn together, to praise you together, to serve together. And we thank you for all that brings to the life of our church community. And as we talk and reflect and think this evening, Lord God, I pray that you would inspire us and encourage us, and maybe show us how we can continue to play our part, or begin to play our part, in making our Sunday services happen. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. So if you've ever wondered why we do what we do, why our services look like they look, why we do things in the particular way that we do them, then I hope this first bit of this evening will be just a great way of introducing you to that before we look at some of the specific roles that go into making it happen. Now, I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see a PowerPoint presentation that I've put together that just helps me summarize some of the things that we are going to be talking about this evening. So let me fire this up. Okay, so one of the things that we've done across the church over a number of years now is to talk about what place Sunday services have in our corporate life as a church. And you'll know, if you've been around ABC for any period of time, that we're really keen to encourage people to take steps in their journey of faith, whether they're not yet a Christian, taking steps towards becoming a follower of Jesus, whether they're already a Christian, helping people go further in their journey of faith. And we have a mission statement as a church that says we exist to love God, love people, and grow together to be more like Jesus. So it's about life transformation. So when we're thinking about our services, what part do our services play in that life transformation and growing to be more like Jesus? What are our services for? What are we trying to do? Well, we've talked about this and prayed about this a lot over the years, and we've crafted something that says this: when it comes to our Sunday services, we use this language. What does a win look like? What is it that we're trying to do? And we say this, that people, no matter where they are on their spiritual journey, are engaged, they find the subject helpful, and they're inspired and challenged to change and grow. That's what we're trying to do in our Sunday services. If we get to the end of a Sunday service, and everybody who's been there, no matter where they are on their spiritual journey, whether they're not yet a Christian or they've been a Christian for years and years, we want people to be engaged. So, we want people to not be bored, but to be engaged, to find the things that we're doing helpful to them in their life and in their spiritual growth, and to be inspired and challenged to change and grow. And you'll know, again, one of the key things for this, for us as a church, is that this should be about everybody, including people who aren't yet Christians, people who might not normally go to church. They are part of that group of people that we're talking about. So if we're going to do that, if we're going to see that happen in our services, and that's what we think God is calling us to do, then that means some things. So it means that we need to engage people, help people, and challenge people to change and grow. And that means our services need to be relevant. They need to kind of scratch where people are itching. People need to be coming and experiencing something that helps them and that is relevant to their lives. We want people to encounter God. That's how spiritual transformation happens, when we encounter God. We want the gospel, the good news of Jesus and Jesus himself, to make people feel uncomfortable, not us. So we're very happy for Jesus to make people feel uncomfortable. But what we want to do in our services is we don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. So we want to include people and welcome people and have people engaged with what we're doing and understand our language and not use jargon and all that kind of stuff. We want to have a welcoming environment, a place that people feel at home in, that's warm in the winter and a bit cooler in the summer and all of that sort of stuff. So we want people to feel comfortable in our environment, but to be able to be challenged by God. And that may make them uncomfortable, and that's fine with us if God makes them uncomfortable, but not us. We have talked a lot about this, about people who are unchurched, people who don't normally go to church, people who are seeking God and don't yet know if they're Christians or not, that they would be a top priority in what we do. And that actually, if all of this is happening, then we think the numbers of people who want to come to our services will be growing. And just to focus on that unchurched person for a moment, if I can, again, when it comes to them, to somebody who doesn't normally go to church, what we would love for them to experience when they're with us on a Sunday is that somebody who doesn't normally go to church, or a first-time visitor, has such a good time, such a good experience, finds things so helpful, is so warmly welcomed and included and valued and loved, that they can't help but come back the following week and bring a friend with them. That would be like, woohoo! That's a real win for us when it comes to people who don't normally go to church. So when we think about what we do in our services, from the time somebody arrives in our car park to the time they leave at the end of the whole event and drive off, there are some things that we hope they'll be experiencing and encountering. And when we put that whole experience together, we think of it a bit like a funnel. And we think about people arriving in all sorts of different places with all sorts of spiritual backgrounds, with all sorts of things going on in their lives. If they've got kids, you know, they've been fighting at home to get the kids in the car and to get everybody breakfast, and they're tired and already a bit fed up by the time they arrive. If it's somebody who's been to church for years and years and years, they arrive knowing what's going to happen and with certain expectations. When we think about all that, we think about this funnel capturing all of those people in all of those different situations at the beginning, and as they arrive and are welcomed and sit in the hall and drop their kids off and their kids go into their things, and everybody's arriving in that place. And the first job that we want to do is we want to engage people, and then we want to involve people, and then we want to challenge people. And this is the kind of funnel that we think about when we're planning our services, from the very beginning of people arriving to the very end when they leave. And that now, of course, includes for us both people who are on site and people who are online. So this is the kind of funnel that we use when we're planning our service content and we're thinking about what our welcome teams need to do and all of those different kinds of things. But we start by simply trying to engage people and love them and welcome them, and then slowly begin to involve them through sung worship and finding out what's going on at the church and so on, then to challenging them through the talk and our prayers and our responsive worship and what we think God is saying and how we pray for people and include people in that. So we're trying to start with this very wide funnel and move towards that point where we're challenging people with life transformation, challenging people to encounter God. So when we're thinking about how we do our services, these are the things that we're thinking about and reflecting on and trying to be intentional about. Now, I want to ask you a question, and by all means, as I ask you this question, please stick something on the chat or unmute your microphone and respond to this question. I'll stop my screen share just for a minute. So think for a moment about a place or an event that you love going to. So it might be a theatre visit or a gig or a great coffee shop that you love going to, or whatever it might be. Think for a minute about a place or an event that you love going to. And then answer this question: what makes it special? What makes it special? So I'm wondering if there's anybody who'd like to kind of jump in and as they're thinking about that, just either type something into the chat or unmute your microphone and shout it out so we can all hear. What makes it special? Anybody going to go first?
It's the beautiful music.
Okay, so
absolutely gorgeous music.
Yeah, brilliant. So something about the music, that's brilliant. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, anything else? Okay, well, let me tell you about environments I love going to. I love going to sporting events. Oh, somebody else has said, Marion Duncan, thank you. The people who you meet there, brilliant. I love going to sporting events. For me, going to a live sporting event, particularly if it's a cricket game or a rugby game or a football match, somewhere where I've seen it on the telly. I get that moment when the hairs stand up on the back of my neck as I look out for the first time on the pitch, and I see that sort of lush green grass at the Rose Bowl for the cricket, or at St Mary's for the football, and I see that, and then I hear the noise, and I see the players warming up. That just makes me think something exciting is about to happen there. Somebody else has said, thank you, Toby. Somebody else has said people being able to genuinely connect in a safe environment. Yeah, that's really helpful. I think sometimes about if I like a great restaurant that I love going to, or a coffee shop that I love going to, the way that it looks, the way the tables are laid out. I had a meeting in a coffee shop today with somebody, and as I walked in, my heart sunk, because I won't tell you what coffee shop it was, but there were dirty plates and half-eaten bacon sandwiches everywhere, all around the store. I could hardly see a table that was clear, and it just really put me off from the beginning. And if I hadn't been having the meeting there and I hadn't had to stay, I would have gone, because the environment just really put me off, because it was dirty and messy and I couldn't see where I was supposed to go and have a clean seat and all that kind of stuff. Somebody else has said somewhere to meet and share with friends as part of that environment. So that's really helpful. Thank you so much. When we think about ABC, we think oftentimes about all the different environments that we have around the church, all the different things that we do, and the different environments that we have, from things like Alpha to toddlers group, to Sunday services, to small groups, connect groups, to kids and youth stuff, all of those different sorts of environments. And we are really desperately keen to, as far as we can and as far as it depends on us, to have our environments being completely irresistible. So places that people want to be in, that they want to come to, that they can't wait to come back to. Not like that coffee shop that's dirty and messy and I'll probably never go back to, but an environment that's warm and inviting and welcoming and all of that kind of stuff. And we think that there are three key things that go into making an environment irresistible. As alongside the people that we've talked about, the setting being appealing. If you think about environments you love going into, oftentimes the actual physical setting is appealing. It looks nice, it's clean, it's tidy. You know where you're supposed to go, it's organized. You know where to go and what is going to happen before it happens. And, you know, an appealing setting like that, something that looks great and is really done well, communicates something about the event that's going to take place there, or the thing that you're doing. So every physical environment communicates something. Clean communicates we're expecting you. Organized communicates we're serious about what we're doing. And something that looks great communicates something about the value that we place on the thing that we're doing it for. And this should be more true in churches than in any other place, any other coffee shop or theatre or cinema or where at concert hall, wherever it might. This should be so true for churches, because we are trying to engage and welcome people into the presence of God. So this should be, the setting should be really important to us, because it communicates something about who and what we value, the God that we value. Second part of what makes an environment irresistible is an engaging presentation. Linda, you talked about the music, what is actually going on, the content of what's going on. And you know, if you think about the sorts of places that you've been, be it a sporting event or a comedy gig or a music festival, whatever it might be, the presentation, what's going on, should be engaging if it's to be irresistible. If it's boring, you're unlikely to go back again. And presenting the gospel is the primary responsibility of the church. Teaching people to obey everything that Jesus has commanded us is one of the church's key responsibilities. Jesus said that. So engaging and securing people's attention is really important, because otherwise it doesn't matter what we communicate if it's not engaging. Think about Jesus and about how engaging he was. People flocked to him. Even if they disagreed with him, they flocked to him to hear what he had to say, because he was engaging. Often he fed people and healed people, as well as teaching people. Do you know that there's been some research done on why people leave churches? And most of the time, the majority of people leave churches not because they disagree, but because they've become disengaged. So engaging presentation, engaging content is really important. And thirdly, helpful content. You think again about environments that we go back to time and time again, particularly learning environments. We go back because it's helpful, because it's helping us, or because it's teaching us something. And we have a huge advantage on this in the church, because we have the Bible. And the Bible is perhaps the most important resource when it comes to helping us in our lives. And so helpful content, and this is really challenging for us. Those of us who preach know how challenging this is, because we have such a wide variety of people who come along on a Sunday to our services. But we try our best for our content to be helpful. And so this is part of, again, our dream when it comes to our Sunday morning environments, that they should be irresistible. Our Sunday services should be irresistible to people, because the setting is appealing, the presentation is engaging, and the content is helpful, and people are experiencing God. And when we serve on a team on a Sunday, we all contribute to this. We all contribute to this. Because if you're on guest services, if you're welcoming people or stewarding people, you're a key part of making the setting appealing. If you're on the tech team, you're ensuring that what we're doing, the music and the preaching, can be heard by people, which is so important. If you're in the kids and youth team, then you're engaging and helping children and young people. If you're hosting services or being part of the worship team, then you're part of engaging people in those presentations and helping people to encounter God. So being on a Sunday morning serving team is absolutely a vital part of creating this irresistible environment when it comes to a Sunday. And here are the various roles that go into making Sundays happen. If you've come on a Sunday and you've sort of ever reflected on this, or ever just observed what's going on, you will know that there are loads of people all over the building making the service possible. And we kind of group people together under these team headings. Guest services, which we talk about people being welcomed, about stewarding, about hub and having people there to give people information about next steps and so on. Our tech team dealing with the sound, the visuals, now these days the live streaming of the service and the live chat for those who are online. Our kids and youth teams running our kids and youth activities. Our service hosts, people online and on site hosting the service. Our musical worship, our worship leaders and our band team and our preachers. All of those go into making our Sunday services possible. And so for the next few minutes, we're just going to take you through what each of those teams do. We're not going to talk a huge amount tonight about kids and youth, only because they've had an event where they talked a lot about what goes on in kids and youth. But that isn't to say that isn't important, and that if you would like to be a part of that team, then we would love for you to do that. But we're not going to talk a huge amount about that particular team tonight. Now, I have two glamorous assistants with me this evening who are going to talk us through some of these roles. So first of all, let's start with guest services and my glamorous assistants, Jamie and Chris, who are out in the lobby in the building here, which is where this kind of stuff happens, and who are going to show us a little bit about what it means to be on the guest services team. Over to you, Chris and Jamie.
Hello, and welcome to the lobby of our fair church. And you may notice we're wearing these beautiful blue t-shirts. We think having something that makes you noticeable is very important. So if a new person or somebody's got a question, wants to know something, having some sort of apparel is really good for making the welcome team and all the other teams actually stand out. So that's really, really important. Now, we are in the process of upgrading our apparel. So we are working on that at the moment. So the teams, the people that are currently on the teams, look out for new gear, people. And if you're thinking about joining the team, then there is new gear coming. So this is our lobby area where we welcome people on a Sunday. Jamie is furiously spinning around behind me. And this is where we kind of greet the people. So there's normally some people stood out on the patio, just out there, welcoming people as they come across the car park and into the building. This could be their very first time in the building. The balloons aren't normally here. It's been the holiday club, but you could be, if you're on the welcome team, the very first people that people see when they come in the building. So you're the welcoming smile, you're the hello, maybe not so much of the hug the first time people, because that's going to freak them out. But then you'll be, bringing them through the lobby. There'll be various. We try to have more than one person on the welcome team so that you guide them through if it's their first time to where they want to sit. You can explain a little bit about what's going on. There's information over here. There's plenty of cards here that they can find information on. And also another team that is on the guest services team, it's called the Hub. And the Hub is we used to have this pre-COVID, is someone would be stood here ready to give information about all sorts of different things that go on in the life of the church. At the moment, we do not have enough volunteers for this role. But you could be that person. How exciting is that? So you bring them on through here, and then they come on into the main hall. You can help them find a seat, and you can help them know where to go, and you can show them the toilets that are back out there that I missed out.
It's not a visitor attraction.
Yeah, but it's very important information, absolutely. And if they've got kids, we can explain about the kids and where the kids go. They can get checked in. So the welcome team is a really important role. You're the front-facing, the first people that they might meet when they come into the building, and it's really so exciting. It's a really exciting role, and we would love some more people to join that team, so you can get stuck into doing that. Is that what you wanted, Chris? Is that good? Is that good enough?
Sorry, I've unmuted myself now. So yes, that's brilliant. Thank you, Chris, so much. So that's our guest services team, a really, really important part of setting up the environment for people who are arriving. And the importance of those shirts can't be underestimated, because again, you imagine you're a first-time person arriving, you want to know who are the safe people to go to, who are the people I can ask a question of, who are the people I can immediately recognize as people who are going to help me and be able to direct me. And just being able to spot that really quickly with some apparel is a really good thing. Now, the next team that's really, really important in what we do here at ABC on a Sunday morning is our tech team. And we are so grateful for our wonderful tech team who do sound and visuals and live streaming and all that kind of stuff, because without them, nobody would be able to hear us, nobody would be able to see us, nobody would be able to follow along with the Bible passages and all of that sort of stuff and the song words and so on. So I'm going to hand back again to Chris and to Jamie, who are by the sound desk, and they're going to give us a quick précis of what it means to be part of the tech team on a Sunday morning. Back to you guys.
Okay, we are in situ. Well, we're sort of in a weird situ, because normally the situ is over there in the middle at the back. but because of the holiday club, we're over at the side at the moment.
Quick costume change.
Quick costume change. The tech team don't need to be quite as visible to the to the come and guests. Tiki. So Jamie heads up with his excellent father, Gavin Brooker. They head up our tech team for us. Now, there's 3 different roles, kind of 4, when it comes to the tech team. Jamie, tell us about the sound desk. What's the sound desk do?
The sound desk.
Yeah.
The sound desk. It sort of knits everything together, brings together the band who've done all their work with rehearsals, brings together the speakers, the people that are going to be delivering some vital information to us on a Sunday morning. And it's quite an important role. It requires quite a lot of concentration, just being on top of it, making sure you're aware of what's going on. And it's a bit of it gives you a chance to really, well, it's a very big learning opportunity. There's lots to learn, but we provide all the training that you could ever need. And we're here to help you.
Yep.
And it's a brilliant skill to pick up. I'll sell it like that anyway.
Absolutely.
and yeah, no, you get to be a bit of an artist and bring everything together.
Absolutely.
And we might even let Chris speak before we unmute him.
So yeah, it's a really key role, but we do provide that training. We do provide the training so that you know, we're not just going to throw you on the sound desk and say, hey, run a Sunday. We will provide all the training. You get to shadow somebody, and then they shadow you to make sure you're comfortable and okay.
We've got rehearsals on Wednesday night, so it's a brilliant chance for you to come down here and get familiar with it. And it allows the band to get aware of what's going to be going on. So it's a bit of it involves a little bit of a midweek commitment as well, on a Wednesday and a Sunday. But yeah, we do all the training. We're more than happy to help answer questions. And yeah, that's sort of
brilliant
sound desk.
And so the second role we're going to talk about is one that works very closely with the sound team, and that is the visuals. I'm just going to spin around a little bit. You see this funky screen here, is the visuals team, and they basically control anything that goes up on the projector on the big screen up there. So it's the song words, it's the PowerPoint slides for the preacher's notes, it's things like that, and they work very closely with the sound person. And basically, these 2 roles, the main point of it is to blend into the background. So we want the technology to not be visible at all. We want people just to connect with the content, to have a really great time when they come in the building, to laugh at stuff, to feel challenged by stuff, and to not notice the technology. So that is the goal, really, that the technology just seeps into the background.
All runs smoothly.
Unnoticed. Absolutely. And and so that is what the team work really hard to do. We've got some great volunteers. We could definitely do some more. We provide all the training, so please don't worry about that. And yeah, it's a great role. We're going to run right now. Jamie's going to follow me. We're going to run into the studio because there is another role that is a thing that happens on a Sunday, and over this COVID period. I don't know where Jamie's gone. I think he might fall over. Oh, there he is. There he is. So this is the studio. This is something that has happened during COVID. Jamie is loading the computer. So basically, you'll see, if you've watched anything online with us, you'll know this is our studio space. Where we have our hosts and our preacher doing their talky bit. There is a very important role, which is this role just here on this computer, these amazing bank of monitors, where basically a person controls the live stream. This is probably the most technically advanced role. So generally the way we work it is we start people off with the visuals and sound, and then we move people onto here if they want to, if they feel that's something they want to do. We've got a team of guys that are learning this at the moment, and so again, absolutely, we need more volunteers on all of the tech stuff. It's really, really important, and it's great. It's so fun, and it's really enjoyable. I cannot sell it enough. It's very cool. So the last thing we're going to talk about now, Jamie, let's go this way. He's loaded it all up, but we're not going to look at it because we don't want to steal all of your time. Is live chat. I don't know why I'm running out here. Live chat is basically, if you've joined us online, you will know that we have somebody as Andover Baptist Church on YouTube on live chat, and they post helpful links, they post things that people might be looking for, and that's a really cool role, and it's also can be done completely remotely. So we have a small team of people that do that at the moment. If that's something that you might be interested in, that'd be great to get you on that team. You can do it remotely. We give you like a cheat sheet of responses to different things, and some things that we regularly post. We provide training for that, all sorts of training and things. So yeah, that's another role on the live chat. Really important, welcoming people in that online space, when people engage with us online.
You haven't got to know all the answers to all the questions.
You don't have to know
There's
everything.
always Chris or Rob on there to help us.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
just providing links and simple questions.
Simple questions.
Simple
Boom.
questions, simple answers.
Absolutely. Boom. Anyway, back to you. I want to say in the studio, Chris. But that's definitely not the right thing. In the church.
Over there.
Oh, thank you, Chris and Jamie. So let's just have a brief recap then of those different and really important Sunday morning roles. So guest services is the term we use to include our welcoming, our stewarding and our hub. And thanks so much. Ron in particular has joined in on the chat, as has Tracy and Kirsty as well, and just pointed out, yes, the stewarding role is a really key one as well, and something, again, if we can build up our teams, we're really keen to have back in situ. So stewarding would be people who have had a little bit more training in things like fire safety and health and safety, and can just keep an eye on us to make sure we're all safe when it comes to exits and entrances and marshalling people a little bit and that kind of stuff. So when it comes to our guest services, there's the welcoming piece, the stewarding piece, and we hope as well the hub team piece that we would like to have. And also, Ron helpfully pointed out that one of the things we ask our welcomers to do is to be back into the lobby at the end of the service, just to say goodbye to people and just to give people a cheery wave off, or be there to answer any questions that people might have at the end of the service. So that's guest services. Tech, we've just heard all about, so sound, visuals, live chat and live stream. We've heard a lot about that. And actually, when it comes to our kids and youth, there are some specific roles within kids and youth around some tech, around signing children in and that kind of stuff at the beginning of a session. So there are some things, if you're interested in tech, there are also some roles within our kids and youth team just to do with tech. So the sorts of roles, if you were on sign-in, for example, signing kids in as they arrive on a computer, printing them off a label, so they've got their name badge, and making sure parents have got the right piece of paper to pick their kids up at the end, doing that for the first 10 or 15 minutes of a service, and then that would be the end of that role that day, and you could come and join in with the rest of the service. So that's another tech role when it comes to our kids and young people. And then just a couple of the roles that interest me, I guess, and that I'm involved in, but also we're looking to add people to our team, and that is our service hosting. When it comes to actually beginning a service and closing a service on a Sunday, both on-site and online in our studio, that's another role that takes place, a little bit more upfront. Kind of role on a Sunday, and we need to add people to those teams, particularly because now we're doing studio hosting as well. And you know, if you've seen Mr. Choules on a Sunday morning online, then we start our service with the 10 before in the studio for those who are joining us online, and then we have a Q&A at the end that's hosted by a studio host as well at the end. So those are some of the, well, the critical roles that go into being able to make a Sunday morning happen. And they are all so important. They're all so important. You know, we always try to say this, that nobody is more important than anybody else. No role is more important than anybody else. Sometimes we may think, oh, well, the preacher, that's the most important thing. Well, if nobody can hear the preacher, or nobody gets into the room and finds a seat to hear the preacher, or by the time people arrive in the building, they're already put off. It doesn't matter what the preacher says, it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter what the worship leader does or how great the music is, then people are already put off. So no role is more important than any other. And actually, those kind of welcoming, stewarding, environment kind of roles are actually so important because they set the tone for everything else that's going to follow. So if you'd be interested in joining in with any of our teams, here's the next step that we're going to invite you to take. So we're going to host 2 other training evenings, and these will be on site in person because we'll need to walk around the building or show you the sound desks or whatever. We've got a guest services training evening at 7:30 on Wednesday, the 27th of April. So if that's something that interests you, You can sign up to come, and Tracy West and myself will be here that evening, and we'll walk you around and give you a little bit more information and role descriptions and all that kind of stuff to introduce you to a little bit more of what takes place in guest services. If you're interested in the tech, Jamie and Chris will be here on Wednesday the 4th of May at 7:30 for an hour and a half to do some tech training, some introduction to the tech stuff. And again, they're not going to cover everything all on the same evening, and we're not going to throw anybody in at the deep end. So one of the things we do with our tech training is you have some training, then you come and shadow somebody else for a week or two. If it's sound, for example, you come and watch what goes on. And then when you feel ready, you can then take a lead, but there'll be somebody else there with you to support you in that before you eventually fly solo, as it were. So we're not going to leave anybody floundering in any of these roles. We're not going to put you on guest services, a welcome team, all by yourself without anybody who's ever done it before. We're not going to do that. We'll make sure you're on a team the first Sunday you do it with people who have done it before and can show you the ropes. So those 2 evenings are the kind of next step, if you like, in figuring out whether these might be places that you could serve. And in a moment in the chat, I'm going to post a link to a survey form, and it's got 2 questions on it. One is your name, and the other one is where might you like to find out more about serving? And it's just got a list of those areas that we've talked about tonight. And you can tick any or all or one or more of the boxes against those different teams. You can submit your survey, and then we'll get in touch with an invitation to those evening events and a little bit more information for you. Again, at this stage, your response is not a commitment to do it. It's just a commitment to take the next step in finding out a little bit more about it. So we're going to email you that link as soon as this event is finished, and we're going to post that link in the chat in just a moment, where you can find that survey. So you can fill in that form. It's going to take you 2 seconds, your name and what you're interested in finding out about, and we'd love for you to fill that in if you'd like to take a next step in terms of those teams. So I thought now I'd just pause there. A lot of information come your way, but just to see if anybody's got any questions about any of that. Again, you can unmute yourself, call it out, or if you want to post your question in the chat, post it in the chat. Has anybody got any questions about any of those things that we've talked about tonight, or indeed how you might respond? I'm just going to, I can see 1 or 2 people tapping some stuff in, so I'm just going to give you a couple of seconds to finish your typing. Oh, Jonathan, great question about catering and hospitality. Yeah, really, really good question, Jonathan. Thank you so much for that. At the moment, the place that we're in when it comes to Sundays is that we're still trying to figure out about refreshments and all of that kind of stuff, because it's quite complicated for us with 2 services and people coming and going and the kids setup and all that kind of stuff about how we do that. It is something ultimately we would like to think through and try and have a little bit more going on in terms of post-service coffee or whatever it might be on a Sunday. The challenge for us at the moment is simply space, honestly. But of course, there are loads of other opportunities where catering and hospitality takes place beyond a Sunday, or beyond a Sunday morning, I should say, because one of the things that we are also looking to re-establish is our Songs of Praise service. And actually, we've had such a good response to our call about that, that we're actually going to do that on a Sunday afternoon again. So again, and we often do a tea with Songs of Praise. So there's an opportunity there, for example. So at the moment, it's limited on Sunday mornings, but there are plenty of opportunities beyond a Sunday for catering and hospitality. So if that's something that you'd like, then please stick that on the form. I think we've got an other thing on the form, haven't we, Chris? I'm just looking. Yes, there is an other section on the form. So if that's something you'd be interested in, just whack that down there, and we'll get back to you, Jonathan, with or anybody with some more information about that. Brilliant, great question, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so Chris has made the observation there. If there's more than one of you watching on a screen, you can click the survey link more than once to fill it in for different people in your family who might be watching. And similarly, you can do that when we sent the email through to you as well. Okay, any other final questions or comments? Chris, Jamie, anything else you have thought about that we should have added?
You're all wonderful people for coming along to this. You get the Jamie and Chris seal of approval.
If you come to the tech team one, we might bribe you with some food.
Maybe donuts?
Yeah, maybe.
Something like that? Anyway. Bye.
We can't speak for the guest services one, but
Okay, so let me just finish then with a couple of practicalities. So our dream and our vision is that from the 8th of May, we would be in a place to go back to having 2 Sunday morning services, and we're hoping and praying that that will be the case. But that is really dependent upon us being able to grow our teams of people. And that means with 2 morning services that there are 2 opportunities to serve. So particularly for guest services, it may be that you would be interested in doing one service or the other service, or indeed you might be interested in doing both on a given Sunday. That's fine. There are some other teams like our tech teams where it might be practically more easy for people to do both services on one Sunday less frequently, if that makes sense. Rather than come and do one or the other. And I should say, if you're serving in both services on a Sunday morning, there will be a little space that we're going to set aside where there will be teas and coffees and cakes and that kind of stuff for those people who are serving on both services between the services to go and get refreshed before they jump into the second service. But some people may prefer to serve at one or the other, or some people do both less frequently. We can accommodate all of that. And we would just love for you to join us. If you're already on one of our teams, thank you so much for being a part of it. We are so grateful to you. If you're thinking about joining one of our teams, maybe if you're a bit newer to the church, fantastic. Thank you for joining us this evening to find out more about it. You know, we are seeing more and more people wanting to come back on a Sunday in person as well as online, and we're seeing so many new people around the church as well. We just keep blown away every week. There are more and more new people coming as well, and our desire is that we would have the space to be able to have everybody who wants to be here on site on a Sunday, as alongside all those people who want to be online as well. And in order to make that happen, we need wonderful teams of people just like you to enable it to happen well, to create those irresistible environments and to create capacity for all those new folks who want to come. But actually serving is also a great thing for us. We, as individuals, as people, I think when we serve, God does something. But it's also a great way to get to know other people in the church. If you're new to the church, there's no better thing to do, in my view at least, than to join a serving team, because you immediately start to get to know a bunch of people. And whenever I look around the church on a Sunday morning and I see people in their serving teams, they're always having a great time. They're always having a laugh and a giggle and an enjoying of sharing together, a chat before everybody else arrives and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great way to get to know people and to become more involved in the church. And finally, you know, one of my personal dreams is this thing I've talked about before, that every person who's a regular with us at ABC would be on a Sunday serving team, because it helps them and it helps the church, and it just helps us to increase what God is able to do in and through us. So I hope and pray that it's been helpful this evening. You found out a bit more about it. Those evenings will explain even more practical details about times and when you arrive and when you leave and all of that kind of stuff. Great question from Ron about will those evenings be repeated? Yep, Ron, absolutely. We're intending for that material that we use to train people on those evenings to be able to be given out to others and be used by other people, or to be repeated. Jonathan's asking, which service will the children's work be at? That's going to be at the second service to begin with. Oh, Chris has already answered. He's ahead of me. So we'll the 11 a.m. service is the one that the kids' work will be at and the youth work will be at to begin with. But again, if we're able to grow our kids' team in particular, we're hoping that we'll be able to do that at both services in the future, but to start with one. And then I should, again, just mention Songs of Praise. The response has been so good to that. We thought we were going to have to do it midweek, but actually already a whole number of people have stepped up to be involved with Songs of Praise. So that'll be probably 4 o'clock one Sunday afternoon a month, again from the May-June sort of time frame, that we're hoping to get Songs of Praise fired up again. So there's another opportunity if a Sunday afternoon works well for you when it comes to serving and being involved. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. We've kept to our promise of keeping it under an hour. Yes, the link will be available, and we're going to email it out, Adrian, to everybody. I'll post it again here. There we go. And we'll email it all to you as well, the survey link. This video will be going up on our YouTube channel at some stage as well. So if you want to be reminded of what we've talked about, we'll send that information about that out as well. But thank you for being a part of it tonight. Thank you for giving up some time to come and hear what goes into making our Sunday services happen. And thank you for being a part of our church community as well. However you're serving, wherever you serve, we just love it that you're part of our church family at ABC. So thanks for being with us. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, everybody. If you have any more questions, please fire them into us. We're very happy to answer them. And if you'd like to know more about any of those teams, respond to that survey, that form. That would be great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Great to see you. Take care. God bless.